All right, let's get ready for our final gist. This one is longer than the previous ones, so just keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and get started about halfway down page 50 where we just left off. The elders went out that very day in pairs, visiting houses around the city. Jones and Allen went together and immediately discovered a house in Tiny Emsley's alley where the mother was already dead, the father was dying, and two small children huddled together, frightened and hungry. They sent word to City Hall and then went to another and another and another house. We visited upwards of 20 families that day, they recalled. They were scenes of woe indeed. Volunteers from the Free African Society were the first to encounter the homes of most fever victims. What they saw was burned forever into their memories. Many whose friends and relations had left them, Jones and Allen said, died unseen and unassisted. We found them dead in various situations, some laying on the floor as bloody as if they had been dipped in it, without any appearance of their having had even a drink of water for relief. Others laying on a bed with their clothes on, and as if they had come in fatigued and lain down to rest. Some appeared as if they had fallen down dead on the floor. The next day, Jones and Allen went to Mayor Clarkson to ask how their group could be of help. To say that Clarkson was grateful for their aid is an understatement. Everyone else the mayor had counted on to help battle the spreading fever, leaders in the business community, church groups, elected representatives, and civil servants, had fled in terror. The Free African Society was the one and only group to step forward and offer its services. After this, whenever anyone requested help, the society sent a volunteer as quickly as possible. No set fee was charged for their services, which might include nursing the individual, cleaning up the sick room, washing clothes and linen, going out to buy food and medicine, and caring for other family members. If an individual could afford to pay $1 or $2 for a full day's care, the money was accepted. But since the people they helped were usually poor, the Black nurses often stayed and helped a person for no money at all. Within a few days, a problem developed. Demand for in-house care far exceeded the number of nurses available. Neighbors who could afford it soon began bidding against each other for the services of available nurses, until there were times when a nurse's fee would reach $4 or $5 a day. This was a great deal of money when you consider that the average yearly income in Philadelphia then was around $200. Virtually everyone supplying goods and services to the city had raised their rates, explaining that shortages of items in the general danger forced up their costs. Yet it was only the Black nurses who were openly criticized. This anger eventually led to Black nurses being abused verbally in the streets, and, in a few cases, male nurses were attacked physically. These complaints made their way to Clarkson, though he was misled to believe that the Black nurses were going about town demanding exorbitant rates for their work. It was only when he met with Jones and Allen to discuss the situation that he learned it was the white citizens who were bidding up the prices. The caption underneath this image reads, "Some chimney sweeps and a yapping dog have gathered around a young woman who has dropped her pie on Lombard Street." Lombard Street was located in South Philadelphia and was the main artery of the Cedar Ward Black community at the end of the 18th century. We're going to continue. The mayor knew he couldn't order Black nurses to refuse any fee over $1. If he forced them to hold down their costs, he would have to do the same with every merchant, laborer, and farmer doing business in town. How much food would be brought to the market if he insisted that only pre-plague prices were charged? How many carters would haul away deceased corpses? What was happening with the Black nurses was a classic example of demand exceeding supply, resulting in higher prices and nothing more. So Clarkson immediately issued a statement expressing his complete support for the efforts of the society. He also had an ad published in the newspapers that admonished citizens to cease bothering the Black nurses as they went about town to their work. Once this controversy was put aside, members of the Free African Society patrolled the streets daily, rounding up the ill and finding shelter for homeless children. If word came to them that a fever victim was shut up at home without anyone to care for him or her, Jones and Allen sent a representative to investigate. The most seriously ill were taken by cart to Bush Hill. The dead were placed in coffins and hauled to the graveyards. That is where we are stopping for our third gist. We are going to summarize the rest of the chapter together in slides to come, but on the next slide, you should be writing what you've learned from this section of reading.